Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Champions Cup. This one, La Rochelle taking on the Harlequins. This is an intriguing match, mainly because of how this table currently sits. Now, looking at the original side of the draw, Pool 1 and Pool 2, you can see it's starting to take shape. We do know exactly who will be through in Pool 2. All of those matches have taken place. Bath, Toulon, Castres, who managed to get themselves the win over Munster, and then also Edinburgh, the last side, through the Champions Cup round of 16 for Munster. They miss out, but they go through to the Challenge Cup. Saracens, they are playing up against Glasgow just a little bit later on, but more than likely, those four will stay in the top, and then the Sharks through to the Challenge Cup on this side of the draw. This is where the intrigue comes in. La Rochelle currently find themselves in 5th. Now, the only reason for that is the Leicester Tigers got themselves a bonus point from that game up against the Stormers. The Leinster at the top of the bunch. La Rochelle, they need any form of point. It can be for 4 tries. It can be for losing within 7. It can be for drawing. It can be for winning. Just 1 point is all that they will need. It is going to be very tricky to go anywhere but 4th, unless, of course, they were able to beat the Harlequins in this contest by around that 45 or so points. In the other group, we did see Bordeaux just get themselves the win over the Bristol Bears, so they sit at the top of the bunch with a bonus point win, sitting on 20 points now in Pool 4. Bristol, they will remain in 2nd for now, but Northampton, they are about to kick off their game up against the Scarlets, who are the last team that can really make some decent change for what is happening in the overall scheme of this competition, but more than likely that pool will remain very similar, with Northampton potentially leapfrogging Bristol there as well. But I hope you guys are all excited for this contest. La Rochelle going with a relatively strong lineup for this contest. A solid backline, couple changes in the forward pack. We see Gregory Aldred making his way off of the bench rather than starting. Also, no Will Skelton for this matchup, but instead Kante Samba and Bodian will be in that locking duo for the Harlequins. This is a pretty strong Harlequins team that they have decided to take to France here. They've got Marcus Smith in. They've got Chandler Cunning himself, Jack Kenningham, Alex Dombrandt, and then also the dangerous Tyrone Green in that number 15 jersey. In terms of the odds, the Harlequins come in as pretty large underdogs for this matchup. About $7.75, I believe, about the second biggest underdogs of the games that are taking place in this round. Hi, everybody, says Bruce. Welcome in. Louis Bielbiere was man of the match. That's not really surprising when that man got himself the hat trick, including that last crucial try that gave Bordeaux another bonus point, going for La Rochelle as the home team, but by 1 score. Says Jimbo, and given La Rochelle and missing players, it's 50-50, maybe 60-40. Is that still 60-40 in favour of the La Rochelle side, or 60-40 in favour of the Quins because of those missing players? The Harlequins coming off a massive win in their last contest, being able to beat the undefeated Stormers, who I hate Bristol now. Says Kahu, well, the good news is you may end up playing them in the later stages of the round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-finals, somewhere along the line. So perhaps you'll be able to do the talking on the field with your Glasgow Warriors there. La Rochelle for the home ground. Says I am nutty, and they have got quite a nice crowd in attendance for this contest by the looks of it. Once again, there is another match that has taken place at the same time as this one. It is Scarlets versus Northampton. That one just about to kick off. Keep you updated with the score in that game as well. But the Harlequins, they are going to be kicking off this game from left to right. Like I said, big underdogs for a side that actually look decent on paper. And based off their Champions Cup so far, that's some pretty solid games as a whole. Whereas on the other side, La Rochelle, they've gone a bit mixed. They've had the home games they try hard in, and they normally get themselves the victory or close to it. And then their away games, they're the ones that they've been struggling with, only receiving, I believe, 1 or 2 bonus points from away contests thus far. Hello, Hamish, been a while, says Jamie Knox in there as well. Now, the question is, was your name Jamie Knox, or was it something else originally? Because now YouTube have the @ symbol. So it's confused me big time, because if your new username was something slightly different, then it comes through as something different now. But I hope you are doing well. Any chance for the Quins? I really want them back on Super Brew. Or really want to back them on Super Brew, but I went La Rochelle by 2, and it's kicked off long by the Harlequins. I would say they've got a decent chance. It was, Jamie Cubes in there rather than Jamie Knox. So it is good to see you once more. We have got their Quins are safe. They are, yes. They can't go down far enough to get knocked out of the competition. They are currently safe in third, I believe, in this group. Now going back across to the left-hand side, Harlequins have got themselves the possession around the halfway line. Now, I will mention that it's pretty smoky at the moment out there on the field, and that may be impacting the way that La Rochelle are defending, as Caden Moody just went straight through a gap. Caden Murley. Him and Canon Moody have very similar names, but both slightly different. And La Rochelle missing the French 9 and 10. Says I am nutty there. Yeah, great breaking run initially from Murley to be able to create a bit of a chance. Oh, that's something new you added to the draw. Says Robert. Is that on the poll that I've added the option of the draw, maybe? If they win Quins, can they get a home round of 16? I think so. It's all very much a wait-and-see situation. A big weight advantage here to the home side, La Rochelle, an extra about 50 kgs over their opposition. Yep, that is, says Robert. Come on, La Rochelle, although Quins are supercharged, and that will be the early penalty going against La Rochelle at scrum time. Big one there for the Harlequins. Northampton versus Scarlets has also kicked off. Yui Antonio, the man who got penalised there, up against Simon Currid. We see him there, Bryce Doolan. Is it? No. Who's that player that they just showed? That's not Bryce Doolan, is it? Is that their normal... Oh, that's Legaric. Actually, now that I think about it, I was trying to think of whose face that was. But yeah, Legaric not playing in this contest. The Quins have morale boost after the Stormers win. Will be a good match today, says Papa. Yeah, based off recent form, the Stormers are looking pretty decent. You know, definitely in this Champions Cup competition. I feel like that's the one that's probably the better to look at. First of all, the home side, though, La Rochelle. They were able to get themselves a 66-0 win not too long ago. And then their most recent game of the Champions Cup, they did receive the 1 point for losing by 1. Oh, Scarlets just scored up against Northampton. By the way, in the other game, there's a knock-on from Dombrandt here. Just stop the attacking chance for the Harlequins just for now. Gives La Rochelle possession inside of their 22. But Ryan Elias has just scored for the Scarlets, ladies and gents. In terms of the Harlequins in their most recent games, they were able to win that last match up against the Stormers, 61-10. Did lose badly in the Premiership, 66 points to 21, which was actually the game that afterwards they apologised to their fans for having poor form and saying that they will get better. And then they did 1 week later, 61-10. Just kicking that one in behind for the Harlequins, deciding to play territory again. And come on, you Quins, Kiwi Quins supporter in London, says Marty. And also, Leinster lucky yesterday. Yeah, the fact that they were able to get that win over a valiant Bayonne side who looked like they were more than up for the task. In fact, there's been a couple lucky games throughout this weekend, but it is at that stage where the pressure is at its highest. Sides can end up missing out, such as a Munster. Tyrone O'Gara made La Rochelle go stale. Given the La Rochelle talented lineup, I wouldn't say they've gone stale. I'd say that they are still a good enough side to beat most teams, but they are dealing with a long injury list. At the moment, unfortunately, it looks like at the moment as well, there is a microphone problem for the referee, Piardi, so he has just got that switched in and out. And Scarlets, Welsh and go the Starlets, says Jimbo. Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting the early try for the Scarlets. Stormers the ones taking it seriously out of the South African sides, says Sean. Yeah, although the Bulls are still going to be in the round of 16-2 by the looks of it. And who knows how they will go. They've got their first win up against Poe, breaking the 7-match losing streak, so maybe they're on the up in the near future. Plus, they've got a couple more months before that round of 16 does take place, but Marcus Smith going off to the left-hand side. Going to be the run of Bradley. He was solid. His last performance. Who's scoring first, says Ruth. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if Harlequins score first, but then La Rochelle still go on to win. And may Scarlets lose, says Haino. It's hard to say because Ryan Elias has scored the early try that has given... Oh no, the Scarlets just conceded. Never mind, that lasted a whole maybe 2 minutes before they ended up conceding that try after scoring. Now rolling this one back. for Lucas Friday. Kick it high from the halfway line. That smoke has cleared from the kickoff as well, which is great news. Always a good idea letting off the fireworks, but then sometimes that smoke just hangs around for a little while. Tyrone Green. Tackle well by Junior Saltini. An idea, says Jimbo. I expect Bulls to send a B team away in the round of 16, says Sean. They may do, although it does depend a little bit on who they go up against. Because if they feel like they've got a decent chance of beating them, they may actually send a relatively close to A side. This one's going to be kicked downfield. Now Tyrone Green waiting for the steep bounce of the ball. It was a bit of an awkward one for him, but he has got the option to pass on the outside to Nick David. Also had a solid last match. High West making the tackle on him. 5 minutes into the contest and it's still 0-0 between these two sides. We'll mention, I don't believe there's any Challenge Cup games taking place at the moment, but there is that other Scarlets Northampton game. I think a lot of people were picking Northampton to win that game by quite a margin. At the moment, they are down by 7 because they actually disallowed that try that they scored before by the looks of it. Now, Lavani Botia, first carry for him. It's always so dangerous. He had what I felt was the man of the match performance in the last contest for La Rochelle. Now cutting back in was Ninashvili, the Georgian. He's up to the halfway line for La Rochelle. Now Yui Antonio firing it back, misses the pass to Ehire West, but Lades picks it up. Harlequins are quick in these breakdowns, and that might, I was about to say that might be an opportunity. Did you watch the Toulouse versus Sale Sharks yesterday? I did not. I saw the result, and it didn't look good for the Sale Sharks, unfortunately. Let's go, Saints, says Haino. Has there been any teams kept scoreless so far this Champions Cup? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think everyone scores at least 1 point. Or at least, of course, the minimum of 3. Can't think of any that we've had that someone's had a 0. Now going short side here. Chandler cutting himself, the English international, trying to bump through that La Rochelle defence. High West a little bit slow getting back up to his feet. After that one, and a nice steal in the breakdown from Tololatu. So back for La Rochelle here. Only racing game left in 2 hours, says Jimbo. And also we have got there Toulouse scored a lot of beautiful tries, says Short Videos. And can you do the Cheetahs game? Sadly, I won't be able to. I will be pouring concrete during that match, which is also why I'm unable to do Saracens versus Glasgow, which is a shame because that game is going to be an awesome one too. Ninashvili kicking the ball in behind. Didn't quite strike it as nicely as he would have liked the second time, but the ball is still there for La Rochelle. Delayed pass there for Bergeon. They'll go back for a knock-on in the breakdown. Who's the most famous Quins player? In the current squad, probably Marcus Smith. And then from there, it's possibly Alex Dombrandt, I guess, from this current side. Or maybe even Tyrone Green or Chandler Cunning himself because of those international caps that he's got. Anyone doing the Saracens game to cover you? No one whatsoever, no. It is just going to be blank. Marcus Smith says Short Videos and Short, or Marcus Smith says Ruth. And Cheetah's got 0 versus Ulster, theoretically. Says, I know, that is true. Champions Cup-wise, though, I don't think we've seen the 0. In fact, we've hardly seen a side in single digits. The only side in the last 2 rounds that hasn't scored double figures was actually Sale when their game up against Toulouse. Oh no, there it is. Edinburgh lost up against Castra 33-0. Gloucester lost 31-3, so they were both in round 2. And then in the opening round, we were back to everyone getting double figures. I think Toulouse lost a few games to look human after the salary cap scandal. And Dynamite. But it is the Challenge Cup, so but I don't think in the Champions Cup, says Haino. Yeah, just showing Will Skelton in the stands watching on for this game. And also, I think it was Douglas in front of him. Is that his name? I can't remember what it is. The blonde-haired fella. I think it's Kane Douglas. Marcus Smith, the little man with the big boot, says Big Rig. And Ali Kildunn's the best Harlequins player right now, says Jimbo. Oh, it's going to be a reset. Scrum seem like a bit of a problem at the moment. Yui Antonio and Simon Curod are not getting along. And Kane Douglas, yes, says I'm nutty. Do you think Northampton lost to Bordeaux has shocked their confidence? Probably not. I'd say that try from Scarlets, though, may be one of their few throughout the match. But, we've seen sides score first before and then concede 10 tries. It can happen, but it was actually just that charge down one for Scarlets. So it wasn't from like phase play or anything. It was just from that mistake of a Northampton kick. Now, ball goes into the scrum once more to the right-hand side in the hands of Marcus Smith. He has got David with him. Just inside of the La Rochelle half. That looked close to forward into the hands of Dombrandt. Now Friday, short flat pop pass. Harlequins trying to get this one motoring forward a little bit with a bit of forward momentum, but that's a drop ball from Chandler Cunningham South. And it brings us to another scrum. Thank God for this channel for match commentary. I was at the La Rochelle versus Leinster game last week. What a game. That one was insane. And, those two sides, I hope they meet at some other stage of the Champions Cup, just because it always seems to be an entertaining close one when they play each other. I talked about it at the time. It was the first home game that those two sides, either of them, have won against each other in the last about 5 meetings. Like Leinster, before that stage, they had lost that one for the Champions Cup. I want to say it was the final, or was it the quarterfinal that was more recently? But no, just an insane game. I was glad I chose that one because we had the option of that game or Sale Sharks versus Sharks. That game was separated by 16 points, so yeah, definitely the better choice in there. I also realised I butchered your name pronunciation, so I do apologise for that. It's Deirdre, isn't it? Rather than what I said the first time. And yes, agree, thank you, says Michael. And nice, lots of good tries. And Ireland conceded first against Romania in the Rugby World Cup 2023. It's just a set. Saints will score 6 tries. And the blinking screen, green screen makes it look like a UFO is observing the game, says Big Rig. Yeah, it does kind of move too, doesn't it? It does look a little bit weird. Now another scrum feed. There's actually a scrum happening in the Northampton versus Scarlets game too. So plenty of scrums across the day. Yep, who got it right, says Deirdre. Did you see the cameraman zoom up on a female touchy? I did not. No, I was looking at the chat. More than likely. Does like his zooms though. All the camera crew do. They're zooming in on random things at the moment. They're zooming in on a guy's elbow, but that's going to be the penalty to La Rochelle. That ball not actually getting into the scrum. Does seem like scrums will be a big factor in this contest. Currently, both sides have won a scrum penalty. I guess it does pop up once in a while, says Robert. Now put into touch by La Rochelle, about 30 metres out from the line. Scarlet 7-0 over the Saints. Yeah, not the scoreline people were expecting, but definitely not the scoreline we will see at the end of the game. And how was the Bristol game? So it was close in the end. It was decent. Bordeaux went a bit quiet in that second half up until the last about maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes of that contest. But yeah, overall, I think the Bears held their own, but then just kind of couldn't quite get the momentum that they needed. First half was okay. Second half was a slog, says Big Rig. Yeah, about 25 minutes of the second half, I don't think many people will be rewatching. Last 15 maybe, but first 25, probably not. Bristol never looked like winning, says Big Rig. Although there was that little moment where they had all the momentum and they were in the right side of the field. They scored that try. And that seemed like maybe their big chance, but it was the kickoff when they were down by 5 points and the knock-on from Jansi Fans Rensburg that pretty much shot any chance of them coming back into the game out of it. But you can never really count the Bears out completely at Ashton Gate. Going off to the right-hand side. Moving across to the right for Ehire West. Shovels it on now to Bollinger. They just seem a little bit lost at the moment, La Rochelle, when it comes to their attack. They haven't quite got that same functioning backline. Now, a change at 9 will do that to them. Lavani Botia now running it straight at Chandler Cunningham himself and Dombrandt. What did you think of the Munster game? I haven't actually been able to watch it yet. All I know is it's very unfortunate for Munster to have missed out, but I also think that Challenge Cup-wise, they're going to be dangerous. Ehire West offload up, and that is the try for La Rochelle. They get through and score their first of the match. It is David Ninashvili who does score it. But breaking through. I feel like the way that I answered that comment, I was getting faster and faster because I could see that there was a counter-attacking chance for La Rochelle there. Or just a general attacking one, I should say. It came off the hand of the Harlequins player, bounces into the hands of Ehire West, sold the dummy to sell Tyrone Green the wrong way, and then from there, the offload to Ninashvili to be able to finish it off. Rensburg scored and conceded in the same minute, says Jimbo. Yeah, rugby's a brutal sport, isn't it? You can go from the top of the world to the bottom very quickly. Bristol didn't disappoint their proud players now. And also we've got their roof. It's the country I live in, says Jimbo. Now Ehire West got himself the try assist and now has the opportunity to add the additional 2. Ironically score in front of Georgia Ad, says I am nutty. That one has gone over. We'll make the score now after 13 minutes, 7-0 for La Rochelle. The Harlequins have to be very careful here. If La Rochelle start getting that rhythm going at home and have a very high-scoring day. Or what did Springbok women get? They managed to win their contest up against Argentina in the final of the Dubai 7, so they progressed through to Tier 2 in terms of the 7 circuit. I think they have announced the dates, but I haven't seen them just yet in terms of when those other Tier 2 leagues are taking place. Now, 13 minutes in. First strike of this game goes the way of La Rochelle. So it is the same scoreline as what we see in the Scarlets versus Northampton game, except in this game, the favourite is the one who has scored it. Jack Walker. Thought about throwing this one in, and now Piari just getting confirmation about how many players are in and out as the Bulls and Lions out. So the Bulls are in the round of 16 by the looks of it, unless Scarlets win up against Northampton by a big margin, because Scarlets are currently on 2 points, Bulls are on 7, I believe. So more than likely the Scarlets, if they won that game, they could actually book themselves a spot in ahead of Poe. How does the seeding work for the round of 16? Is it pool 1 and 4 and pool 2 and 3? I think it's done off rankings, but I'm not sure whether or not. I think you can't play the same team that you've played in the group stage, maybe. I could be wrong. I always get confused at this stage, but the good news is in about 4 hours, we'll know exactly who's playing who. As the Lions out, they are out of the Challenge Cup, yes. They had a draw up against Perpignan, but that wasn't quite enough to get them over the line in the standings of their group. The Dragons and Perpignan both finishing above them. Have you had the chance to play for a club? Which club would you choose? I don't actually know, to be honest. I like yellow, so to be fair, La Rochelle probably wouldn't be a bad side to play for. They seem to have a lot of support. Definitely, like 3 or 4 years ago, La Rochelle were just a different beast. Now going with a grubber in behind, bit of skill there from, I think that was the number 11 there, Boulanger, trying to show off his football skills, but unfortunately for him, now the counter-attack here for the Harlequins, going to Murley. He will kick it in behind, and Lades has to chase back alongside Ninashvili. It's almost going to be a highlight of the Champions Cup had he been able to finish that one off. Steep bouncing ball, Tyrone Green runs this one back now again. Oh, that's a big collision. And I think that maybe, it's going to be a penalty for side entry, but this looks like maybe Bergeron has just knocked himself silly, trying to put in a big shot on Tyrone Green. Would you leave New Zealand for a payday? Says Big Rig. I live in France for a couple of years. As in, like, for commentary or for playing? Are you all right? You said the Lions will draw. Says Mohadin. That's a huge shot there on Tyrone Green, but I think it might have been actually the arm that connected with the La Rochelle halfback, Thomas Bergeron. A little bit shaky getting back up to his feet. I guess either. I think it would depend on the timing of it. A little bit. And also, like, I don't know French. So I don't know whether or not France would be the place that I should go, because I would probably not know anything that's going on. Got to be a top 14 team. Live in a rugby town south of France. Says Jimbo. Just showing that breakdown knock on from Olopano Junior Saltini a little while ago. He's just getting his shoulders stretched out a little bit. Going to be Harlequins now, though. It's thrown in nicely. Don Brandt offloads it up to Friday. Inside ball to Chandler, cutting himself. They're only 5 metres out from the line now. The Harlequins. A chance to be able to get straight back into this game. Friday goes to Don Brandt. Big solid individual. That number 8 jersey helps bulk up this Harlequins pack, although they've got plenty of size across their other players, including Chandler cutting himself, who just passes it off to the side, and that will be a knock-on from the Quins, just out from the goal line. Near Spanish border is best, says I'm nutty. I just said France because they pay well, says Big Rig. And also, I could say the same scenario for Ireland. They speak English there, says Big Rig. And also when Etzebeth coming back, he's still a few weeks away from his suspension being over. But I'd say he'll be back before the end of the Six Nations in terms of that kind of timing window, maybe even about halfway through. Sharks, they probably would quite like to have him right. First try of the match scored by the Northampton Saints. In that other game, ladies and gents, they now sit 7 points to 5. How Scarlets going? They were leading 7-0. Now they're 7-5 up still for the Scarlets. But Todaro does score it. So is Argentina out? Out of what, Mohadin? And come on, says Hano. And North just scored. Says I am nutty there. Now scrum feed again here. We've had quite a few stoppages in this game, which has been good because we've been able to catch the tries in the other one. The women's, no, they are through to tier 2 as well. They go alongside South Africa. Another scrum reset. Let's go. The French, says Ruth. You Antonio and Kerrod. I don't think we're going to have a single scrum where there isn't a reset beforehand. These two aren't quite getting along at scrum time. Piardi having to watch this one very closely. Now 19 minutes. I think about 5 of those have been scrums. The South African women doing well this year. Well, they won their 3rd division match. So they are up to tier 2, but that's the only competition that they've been in so far. Penalty goes the way of La Rochelle. Will be less exciting though. Only England or France can win it. Indeed, don't forget the Women's Six Nations too. We'll follow the men's too. Says Big Rig. Now, La Rochelle, they will be able to get this one downfield. It's a quiet, slow day here in Cape Town today, says Ruth. Once again, I think that's down to the celebratory events that would have happened last night after the Stormers got the win over Leicester Tigers. Yeah, that scrum wasn't happening smoothly. Under 26 Nations as well, says I am nutty. Now another line out for... It was supposed to be Talolatu starting in that number 2 jersey, but I actually see now he is not the starting hooker in this contest. It's the fella whose name I can't say, who was going to be making his way off the bench. I know his first name's Quinton, but his last name's like Lesquois, something along those lines. Now kick forward by Ehire West into the hands of Tyrone Green, who's knocked it on, which means we get another scrum, but this time it is going to be a Quins scrum feed. That's why South Africa not in the Six Nations, because they're in the Rugby Championship. I'm enjoying some sunshine in back garden and wind's starting to blow. So here's Ruth. Just make sure the roof doesn't blow off. So here's Ruby. Yeah, first knock on coming from La Rochelle. Then knocked on by Tyrone Green. So again, we get another scrum. Probably the word that I would use to describe this first half so far. Les Piac, is it? Something like that. And France is a scrum half factory, says the Lazy Bone. But France and Ireland are in the championship, says Mohadin. In the Nations Championship, so is South Africa. I assume they're not in the Rugby Championship, they're in the Nations Championship, which is different. Nations Championship has 12 teams, Rugby Championship still has the 4, but hasn't taken place this year because of that New Zealand-South Africa tour. That is going to be a knock-on against the Harlequins now, and it's another scrum. This isn't the game that I thought we were going to have so far, ladies and gentlemen. We've had about 2 minutes of open play. And the rest has been all scrums and stoppages. Although, to be fair, it looks like Northampton and Scarlets have had their fair share of scrums there too. I feel about France the way most countries feel about England. Every time Knox says Mohadin, I just kind of want to see them lose despite them being good, says Big Rig. And plenty of whinging going on about the Thursday kickoff for the Six Nations. Not the best day of rugby, says Haino there. And OBS, oh my, good luck with tomorrow. They're talking about how sold out this stadium is. The crowd will be happy because their side is winning 7-0. But it has been far from the normal type of game that we would see from the Harlequins. Have you been to south of France to watch rugby? I have not. I haven't even been to any of France, let alone the south of it. Maybe one day, though. Ball's going to be fed in by Beaujean. Hopefully, no scrum reset. Yep, it's going to come out the back door now. Being told to use it twice there by the referee, and now it's a scrum reset. I thought we had gotten away with it. La Rochelle wants to slow or play the slow game, says I am nutty. Just came from work, out of the concrete work go. It hasn't started yet. It's going to be taking place during that Saracens versus Glasgow game, which is sadly why we won't be able to cover it, as I would have only been able to do maybe half of the first half before having to leave. She'll be on the rugby bucket list along with Twickenham, says Big Rig. And La Rochelle start throwing that ball sideways, says Ruth. There's already some players profusely sweating out there for this match. It's another knock on from Northampton. So they're actually having a very similar game to what the Harlequins are at the moment. And now around the halfway line, chance to get the attack moving for Saltini. Offload backwards from Lades. I don't know if it was completely on purpose or whether he did drop it in the process of landing as well, but this ball taken back by the Harlequins. Being told to use it there for Lucas Friday. He has dropped the ball, but it's ruled as backwards. Being pulled down by the Quins. I want to go back to the days of Munster and Biarritz. And I know Observatory, I was just getting with your roof. With you, Roof. Says Ruby. Are you my inspiration? Says Mohadin. Oh, quick tap taken by La Rochelle, and they will go straight through the gap now. Ninashvili passes it off to his teammate. They got that little bit closer. Now La Rochelle almost able to find their way through with Kanti Samba. All of a sudden, the tempo is just well and truly upped here for La Rochelle. They looked for the pass across. It didn't work out. And I think Yui Antonio might be in a little bit of trouble here after a head knock, but they do have the penalty advantage anyway for Harlequins being offside. There's a knocked on ball. Still playing advantage. It looked like there were about 2 knock-ons there from this La Rochelle side. Now back on the inside. Fakaturi. Now Antonio flicking out the back lanes with the no-look pass out the back door, little shuffle step, and that one's now taken back by the Quins. And going back now, Vani Bortia just giving a couple pats on the head to the young halfback and Lucas Friday. Bit of a size discrepancy between the two. Yeah, Scarlets have scored again. It's not supposed to be happening, is it? Are they going to knock the Bulls out of the Champions Cup? That would not be ideal for the Bulls after finally getting themselves a win. As you see, that's the way that the table sits at the moment. And Scarlet's points differential is good enough that if they just beat Northampton, they would go up to 4th. And that would knock the Bulls down to the Challenge Cup. And Poe would go from looking like they were going to guarantee themselves a spot in the Champions Cup to then even missing out on the Challenge Cup too. So that's definitely a game to keep an eye out for. Scarlet scoring twice early off the amount of handling errors that we have seen from Northampton in the early stages. 26 minutes into this contest, and Harlequins, they are going to be defending just out from their own goal line after La Rochelle have opted to go for that kick towards the corner. And referee Piatti has just pretty much told La Rochelle to get the player off the field and get on with the game. But overthrown, in fact, for La Rochelle at line-out time, and Kinningham manages to clean up for the Harlequins. 25 metres out from their line now. Going back away to the left, and they've got themselves an offside advantage. Okay, Ihia West has just been told by the referee, step back, I don't speak to you. And Perpignan says Joseph there, and also we have got their Scarlets need a bonus point win to knock out the Bulls, says Kahu. And also slow first half, teams seem sleepy. Hello everyone, says Martin. Welcome in, hope you're doing extremely well. That is Jack Knoll. He has made his way onto the field. I think that was maybe for Saltini. How are the Quins playing? They've been rough to start this one. They still look dangerous enough on attack though. And Sleepy says Big Rig. And there too. Oh no, in fact, it's not the injury of Saltini. It is instead Nathan Bollinger who has gone off. Now Kinningham passes back across to Bradley. 35 metres out from the line, Dom Brandt. Support runner Luke Northmore with him. Chandler cunning himself. Accidental obstruction almost there from Guido Petty. And to knock the Bulls off. So do Scarlet need for 4 tries? Yep, so they need 4 tries and the win. And if they were able to do that, that would knock the Bulls out of the Champions Cup. And Scarlets could cause an upset of the Champions Cup so far, says Kahu. We have got there, Hamish, you're a good French pronouncer of names. I absolutely am not. My French is awful, I have to say. I think it's the one set of names that I've just never gotten the hang of, unfortunately. I do get them wrong every single game, which is a shame. You've got there, go Villy LaRue, says Ruth. And the world is happy the Stormers win, says Martin. Now Harlequins, it's a good kick in behind. Forces La Rochelle to be only 10 metres out from their own goal line here. A little bit of extra pressure. They managed to take it nicely. Lavani Bortia. 10 metres out from the line at the moment for La Rochelle. Who do I hate now? Who do I hate? Who do you hate now, Mohadeen, I assume you're talking about? Welsh doing well, the Scarlets. Yeah, currently leading 14-7 in their contest. Just the 1 try so far in this match for La Rochelle. It was David Ninashvili. They've managed to score it. Maybe he's got a coach. Not yet, but they're working on it by the sounds of it. Chandler Cunning himself goes to Kinningham now. Friday goes to Bradley. Passing away to the left, Dom Brandt. 2-man tackle on him. It's just where the Harlequins have to be strategic. They can't go for anything too risky, like a box kick or a little chip in behind or anything like that. I think they just have to go phases with the ball in hand. Definitely don't go for that cross kick. That is something we've seen many sides try and many sides fail in this Champions Cup. Now Friday, it goes back to Marcus Smith. Wide cutout pass. Finds the hands of Dom Brandt. The crowd asking for it to be called as forward. Referee though says play on. Scarlets update at the moment, 14-7 in favour of the Scarlets. Big driving tackle there. Yui Antonio almost got into the breakdown. Marcus Smith, here comes the cross kick from the Harlequins, and La Rochelle managed to control that one. Ihia West grabbing it and kicking it way downfield. And that one slowly rolling towards the sideline. Tyrone Green there to clean up. Now back to Marcus Smith. On the left-hand side finds Luke Northmore. Now another kick downfield from the Harlequins into the La Rochelle 22. Ninashvili waiting back there. Normally does play a bit of fullback for the Georgians too, so has got that cover defence. Gets it way downfield off the kick. We see there someone, I think that's actually the young winger, Nathan Bollinger, has stayed off. And he has been taken back to the changing sheds. Who do I hate now of the Springboks? You seem to dislike Andre Pollard, even though you were the biggest fan of him only about a month ago. Smith's so frustrating, says Jimbo. Yeah, it's one of those ones, if the cross kick worked, it would be great, but You know, the chance of getting it. La Rochelle are normally pretty decent under the eyeball. This is a good breaking run there from Kenningham, though. Tries to kick it in behind. Ninashvili is back again to cover. And he almost... Oh, yeah, a little bit of communication there with Kenningham. I think that was something along the lines of good tackle, but it will be the goal line dropout now. Coach's fault, says CC. And La Rochelle making hard works for themselves. And Avies must get an neighbour, says Martin. Yeah, Ninashvili controlling that one. Inside for 22. So now another goal line dropout. And that's going to be nicely taken on the halfway line. Chandler cunning himself here. He comes at the opposition. Manages to hurdle around his opposite number there in Bodian. I think that would have been actually Joe. Now the call of release there from the referee. He forces the ball out of the hands of the Quins player, so it will be the penalty. Andre Pollard had his time, says Martin. Where's the try, says Ruth. Currently 32 minutes in. I don't think anyone would have been predicting only one try 32 minutes into this contest. Currently in the Northampton Scarlets game, it is 14 points to 7. So they've had 3 tries from the same amount of time, and it looks like Harlequins are opting for the 3 points here. La Rochelle, they know from this contest they just need 1 point. Whether it's for being within 7 or scoring 4 tries or a draw or a win, they just need one singular point to put them in ahead of the Leicester Tigers. Take the 3, Quinn, says Jimbo. Looks like a little bit of push and shove at the moment taking place between Northampton and the Scarlets. And Quinn's not on the board yet, says Roof, although a big opportunity to get on the board now. Marcus Smith, 20 seconds left on the shot clock. And strikes it down the middle, makes the score now 7 points to 3, so it's been hard fought. Quinn's finally on the board. Got their first 3 points. Sasha Feinberg and Mazulu, no number 1, Marnie number 2. Rassi must get a Zhong, 10 in the squad. Says, was that a young 10 in the squad maybe? Andre Pollard is in both the territory now, but still a great. And La Rochelle should have been 4 tries up already, says Roof. And now looks like Alex Dombrandt trying to break through. Avani Bortia, such a strong individual in those breakdowns, doesn't often get bumped off. And Quins won't win this game with 3-pointers, says Big Rig. Yeah, I guess it's a good start, though. And at the end of the day, they just need a victory. And it would be enough to knock La Rochelle out as long as they win by 8 points. Nicely taken by Lades. Was over the sideline, so it is now going to be the line out for La Rochelle. I don't think the score will change that much by half time. I have a feeling we could be looking at 7-3 or maybe 7-6, 10-3, something like that. We might only see another penalty scored between these sides. I just said there, 57% of the first half has been in the hands of the Harlequins. Do you think Sasha can beat Marcus Smith in a wrestling match underwater? Why are they wrestling underwater? And how do you win an underwater wrestling match? Do you have to pin the opponent or do they have to drown? I've got so many questions. French teams are exposing the URC. Can't wait for the Club World Cup. Says Katzenel. Now rolling this one back. Again, looking for some nice height on the kick. Downfield towards the halfway line, taken by Tyrone Green, met by Ninashvili, and a drop ball again from the Harlequins. Handling errors coming thick and fast, which means more scrums. It'll be a draw when they both drown, says Big Rig. Now under the 5 minutes remaining in this first half of play, Scarlets still leading up against Northampton. Tonight is the AFCON final. It is, isn't it? Who's playing in that? Is it Nigeria, Senegal? Maybe? Is that who's in the AFCON final? I'm going to have to Google it now. AFCON final 2026. Oh no, Senegal and Morocco, my apologies. Nigeria were playing in the bronze final, weren't they? Up against Egypt. They put a ribbon on the ankle, and the opponent has to remove it, says Big Rig. And then a bonus point win, not 3-pointers, says CC. Oh, well, I looked it up. Underwater wrestling is real, says Big Rig. La Rochelle subs should make the difference, says I Am Nutty. Yeah, currently the way that this table sits, ladies and gents, 1 second, there we go. So the Harlequins, theoretically, they don't need a bonus point here. Unless it's based off, of course, whoever has the most points in each of the groups. I think maybe that's how they do the rankings for the round of 16, but I'm not too sure. But otherwise, you know, a win here would put them ahead of the Stormers. They would move into second, the round of 16 table. Or in the group stage table. But La Rochelle, they need 1 point here. If they don't get that, they are out. And Leicester would book themselves that spot. Now, La Rochelle would still be in the Challenge Cup, but not the Champions Cup. Go La Rochelle, says Martin. Again, the ball about to be fed in to another scrum. It's on the halfway line. La Rochelle, they are the advantage at this point with the fact that they have scored themselves 1 try in this half compared to the 0 of the Quins. Another scrum reset. Piardi says it's moving too much. That ball probably was available though. So I have to say La Rochelle aren't helping the scrum reset scenario. They're trying to milk a penalty. And because of that, it means that the ball's staying in there and eventually getting reset. La Rochelle made the 2019 Challenge Cup final, lost to Clermont. Says I Am Nutty. And how are you watching it? I am watching it here in New Zealand on EPCR TV, which is a similar application to what they have for URC TV, which is just pretty much the broadcaster for those who don't have a main broadcaster. So I've got the Champions Cup season pass, which does mean I get all of those finals games, and also the Challenge Cup season pass too. Comes alongside it. Nigel was there. Come on, you Quins. At the moment, only down by the 4 points. Front row's collapsing there, and penalty goes the way of the Harlequins. So that is a massive scrum victory for this Harlequin side, and that is the downside of what La Rochelle are trying to do. They're trying to milk the penalty in the scrums because of the fact that they've got the heavier pack, but this time the Harlequins got the better of them, made them collapse first. And now they will kick this one towards the sideline with Marcus Smith. And come on, you Quins, says CC. Stormers in the Challenge and Championship Cup, says Mohadeen. So they are in the Champions Cup, the Stormers. At the moment, it looks like the Sharks will be in the Challenge Cup. How is Valentine's Day in New Zealand? As in, like, as a whole, or just, I don't think it's really that different to many other days for a lot of single Kiwis out there. Who would be more powerful during the wrestling match, Sasha or Marcus Smith? I'm not really sure. I feel like Sasha's long limbs would come in handy in this underwater wrestling match you speak of. But it's very hard to say. You know, one of them might be scared of water. Who knows? Pulls the wool over their eyes, says I'm nutty. And do you think if the Sharks sent a better team versus Sale, they get Champions Cup? Probably. Oh, double blow of the whistle here. This might be trouble for La Rochelle. I think this one's going to be checked to see whether or not there was the deliberate knockdown. Okay, Piardi has just said he didn't actually see it. Smith got bulk. And Scarlett's loose head binned. Yeah, see, they can't afford that. They need to be 15 on the field for the whole game up against Northampton if they want a chance. But speaking of, less than 15... Could see maybe La Rochelle lose a player just before the halftime break here. I'm being forced to go watch Sail GP in February. I don't mind a bit of sailing, though. Be a good environment. Good atmosphere. Okay, yeah, so the extended arm. Okay, there was no overlap, but there is. They've ruled it as a deliberate knockdown, so it will be a yellow card. Oh no, sorry, my apologies. They don't see it as deliberate, so it's just going to be a penalty. We have seen those ones ruled as yellow cards before, but in this case, it's going to be kicked into touch. We see another try for Northampton now. I love your ability to cover 2 games as well as underwater wrestling. Proper professional presenter, says AZ. All thrown to the front there for the Harlequins. We talk about some random stuff in these late night live streams. Currently 5 a.m. here in New Zealand. New advantage there for the Harlequins, and you would think for repeat infringements, La Rochelle may be in trouble if they keep on conceding just out from their line in terms of those penalties. Right, this is a double blow of the whistle, and this time the referee reaches for the pocket, so it only lasted an extra maybe about a minute or so before they ended up with 14 on the field anyway. But it's Auckland though, says Katzenell. And time for coffee, says Ruth. I mean, Sasha's way taller, so he would be able to touch the bottom of the pool, says Kahu. Right, decision about to be made here. They call for the scrum. It does now mean that maybe La Rochelle may have to look for a sub. Yui Antonio, he is the man who got sent off the field. You are pouring concrete. Is that for Razor's body? Says I'm nutty. No one can find Razor at the moment. He's gone into hiding. But he'll bounce back. I really want to see another Tier 1 side pick him up. And just to see what he can do when he gets full control over the team rather than having to deal with the board as well as the players. Coming to you, Quins, says CC. I'm watching you cook. I will be more entertaining than this game, says Hayno. You think I should whip up some eggs at half time? He's got millions of dollars. Razor is doing all right, says Big Wriggle. Although by the sounds of it, they aren't paying him out. Jack Noel, he's been taken off the field. That is for Joel Scalafi, the Argentine who makes his way on. But yeah, I'm not sure what it is that means that he doesn't have to be paid out, but they kind of did a statement and they said, nah, he's not getting paid. And Razor to the Quins, please. That was a rumour that was going around. There's many sides that have said that they would happily have him. 30 seconds now remain in the first half. That scrum, it has collapsed. They're being told to use it. Friday does so. Now flat ball into the hands of Bradley. About 2 metres out from the line now for the Harlequins. Can they score to take the lead heading into the second half? Lavani Botia wanted that ball, unable to get it. Now the Harlequins, that was so close to being able to score it, but they have held up. I believe it was Luke Northmore who all but went over the line. In fact, there were times where he was over that try line. Bradley again dragged down, and that was close to a steal for La Rochelle. Now Marcus Smith, Tyrone Green goes on the outside. Murley scores in the corner, and the Harlequins take the lead at halftime. Who has better breath control, Sasha or Marcus Smith? You'd have to ask them how long they can hold their breaths for, but that is a big moment for the Harlequins. There are boos raining down at the stadium. Oh, I'm not sure who that was. Jack Walker just gave the crowd a bit of a send-off. Our Razor to go La Rochelle to rejoin Ronan O'Gara. Like, that's the thing. I don't think he will struggle to find another job, because a lot of people would go 74% win rate at international level. Chuck him in, see how he does. And also, I mean, he's got that prestigious record with the Crusaders. La Rochelle just in the team huddle at the moment. Rumour has it, Razor, I will join the Kiwi lads. Imagine if we got him on a live stream. Wouldn't that be quite the... I don't know whether or not the chat would be nice, though. That's the risky thing. Like, it would be quite cool to do it, but I may have to restrict what people can actually say. That's a great kick from Marcus Smith. Knocks it over from the sideline, and the Quins now leading at halftime 10 points to 7 in this game. Currently, Northampton versus Scarlets has 1 minute remaining of their first half, and the score is 14 points to 12 in favour of the Scarlets, but they have got themselves a yellow card at the moment. Come on, Hamish, they would not. They would. A Razor assistant to Hamish, says Ruth. And who would have the advantage of wrestling underwater? Once again, Kahu, you're gonna have to send them a message on Instagram and say, hey, can you two wrestle underwater? Because it seems to be really just bugging your mind about who would win that one. Why do they have to wrestle underwater, though? Why can't they wrestle on land? Like, surely you just stick them in, like, a ring or on a mat. What's the underwater part of it? Is that just to really test them? Just watching the end of this Northampton versus Scarlets first half at the moment. The Saints are on attack. Alex Mitchell going away to the left-hand side. And if they break through here, they will. Oh, is it going to be the hat-trick? Yes, it is. 3 tries. I don't think anyone would have been predicting that. Well, actually, no, to be fair, Northampton were supposed to score a lot of tries, but 3 tries already throughout a first half period for Eduardo Todaro. He's scored himself the 3 already. Try says, I am nutty. Maybe raise money for charity like Create a Clash. And I watched a rugby player MMA pay-per-view, to be fair. Says Big Rig. And it's 18 or 6 p.m. Sunday in South Africa, says Martin. Because I think they do it for the NRL, don't they? They do quite a few of those type of charity boxing events. And geez Louise, says Ruth. No, Hamish, who will the Bulls maybe face? And the Stormers in the round of 16, says Yanlu. I'm not actually too sure of how it works out in terms of that round of 16 at this stage. But all I can say is the Bulls better hope that the Scarlets lose, because or else then the Bulls will face no one, because they will be in the Challenge Cup instead. 6:05 p.m. in Cape Town, says Ruth. Yeah, it's now going to be halftime. Hamish, the cricket match is finished. Don't say anything. Saints 17 points to 14. The way that one does currently sit. I'll see whether or not I can find a Champions Cup round of 16 picture. Round of 16 format. Have we got something that will show us? Right. What we got. The highest 4 from each group qualify for the round of 16. That's nice. That's all it's got. Does it? Okay, so the Champions Cup website doesn't really tell us a huge amount. While La Rochelle have 3 props as subs. Says, I am nutty. It's a good question. I really don't know some of these. Like, I know Rita Warri and Joska Levy are the props. I guess it would be because of that late change, because originally Quinton fella was supposed to be off the bench, but he's actually in the starting side now. So I'd say it's just a late change that they did. Right. I've got it here. Fixing the Champions Cup structure. The current format is 4 pool rounds, 4 knockout weekends. What else? No, that didn't tell us anything. Oh, no, that's just the format. They want to change, like, the dates. Round of 16 qualification. Right. Round of 16, number 1. Number 1 ranked club in Pool A versus the number 8 ranked club in Pool B. Pool A and Pool B, that was 4 years ago. It's changed since then. I would assume it's like someone, it would be confirmed as who's supposed to play who. It's easier just to wait a couple hours, to be honest. We have got there Joska Levy as a big boy. Says Katzenel. And how are your parents? They are doing well. Dad will be up in probably about, I'd say, an hour and a bit, seeing as we're pouring early. It's getting hot. Second half pressure on, says Ruth. You're currently 40 minutes down in this game, 10 points to 7. Low scoring one. Harlequins normally are known for those high scoring matches. The Saints, in their game up against the Scarlets, there have been 5 tries from that match. Just the 2 in this game from Amurli and also from Ninashvili. How the hell are Quins now up? They were just at 0, says Katzenel. So they did score themselves a 3-pointer, and then the yellow card of La Rochelle gave them a bit of a sniff to be able to get an attack going, and that is exactly what they did. Are you doing the Soccer World Cup? Not sure yet. I'd like to maybe do New Zealand's games. And I guess if I did New Zealand's games, I probably should do South Africa's games too, seeing as they are our 2 main audiences on the channel. But I definitely wouldn't be doing every match of the Football World Cup. It'd be just the kind of occasional one chucked in there for good measure. But do let me know who you think will win this game, ladies and gentlemen, and also who's going to win that Scarlets-Northampton game. You would think that now that Northampton have taken the lead and they've got a man advantage for the next maybe 5 or so minutes of the second half, they should just about control that one. But very hard to say. I wonder whether or not I can find the Champions Cup round of 16, 2025. Can I find what happened there in terms of an image of it? There we go. Road to the final. That's what we want. Munster Rugby actually posted it, so that's very handy. So, yeah, so it's pretty much, how do they determine who's ranked? The highest ranked clubs from the pool stage will have home advantage in the round of 16 and quarterfinals. So it is 1 versus 16 in the round of 16, 2 versus 15 on the other side of the draw. So of the top 4, tell you what, that would take a lot of maths if you're trying to work it out off the top of your head. I hear you're not doing the Rugby World Cup. Who told you that, Mohadeen? Because they were full of... As we are certainly doing that one. We are doing the Rugby League World Cup too. And we have got I called 6 tries for the Saints, sticking to my guns. So here's Jimbo. Yeah, Bordeaux, if they come in as number 1 ranked, they will face the number 16 ranked side, which could be maybe the Bulls. That would be a tough game if that's the case. New Zealand sucks. OMG. They play the most boring style. Half your stream will be mostly about KFC guarantee, but that's not a bad thing, is it? People love talking about KFC. Prefer rugby union to league. Says Big Rig, although they are on at different times. That means that we can do both. I think it is just most points or not. Yeah, kind of, I think. A good try, says CC, as in for the Harlequins. They were not far out from the line. It was just some quick hands out to Murley. But, yeah, man advantage as well, making the most of it. And La Rochelle fix up, says Haino. And going for Smith to kick the winner 82 minutes in. Yeah, Jimbo there as well. Who do you think would be more athletic during the wrestling match? You really, really want this wrestling match to happen, don't you? But once again, I have no idea who would win between Marcus Smith and Sasha in a wrestling match. We saw Sasha leading with the forearm in just his most recent game, so he might have a little bit more malice in the way that he wrestles. Well, if La Rochelle doesn't win, they are out, aren't they? That is correct, yeah. And then Leicester Tigers would sneak in, and that might be, maybe the Tigers would come in as 16th ranked. I think either way, the Bulls are going to have a tough round of 16. No matter who they end up playing. One second, we'll go to tables here for a second. Saracens were on 10, 10, 6, 7. So, yeah, Leicester would play Bordeaux. If La Rochelle lost this game, Bulls would probably play Glasgow Warriors. Maybe. Dominated the Wallabies like they were Steve Irwin in October and September. And KFC is bad when you're ravenously hungry. My French boss shop has a drive-through KFC opposite and you smell it all the time, says Ruth. That must be brutal. Although KFC chicken in South Africa, I've learned, is cheaper than KFC chicken here in New Zealand. You guys can get like a good old size bucket over there. How will the Stormers be playing, says Mohadeen? Hard to say, because the Stormers, they are currently sitting second in their group, which means that they're probably going to be playing someone roughly around their same ranking. So that could end up being someone like a Castra or a maybe Sale Sharks or someone like that. But once again, we still have to wait a little bit longer to find out if Harlequins are going to overtake them or not. Fast food prices have skyrocketed here in the UK. Says Big Rig. I think they've gone higher in most places too, haven't they? Like in Australia, it seems quite cheap, or at least KFC does. They always have the advertisement on the ground saying like 6 tenders for $6.95. You get 2 tenders for $6.95 here. Yeah, 10 piece for about $1.50. Says Ruth. Big Mac like £9 here now. That's like 16 to 20 in New Zealand. Says Big Rig. How much are our Big Macs? Big Mac NZ. Price. It's around $11.40 New Zealand for the burger alone, and a combo $16.90 or so here in New Zealand. So it's actually, it's relatively up there as well. I meant to say it isn't bad. It's a quick filler, and shrinkification, as it's called, more expensive in smaller size. Says I am nutty. Prices have gone up, but fuel has gone down. Says Robert. Second half, just about underway. We did see a lot of scrums throughout that first half. It was a bit of a stop-start type of match that hopefully will really start opening up in the second 40 minutes. The way I worked it out might be totally wrong. Glasgow versus Bulls, Bath versus Leicester, Leinster versus Edinburgh, Bordeaux versus Saracens, Toulouse versus Northampton, Toulon versus Quins, Stormers versus Castra. We'll take your word for it. Of course, that can still change as well. That's the tricky part. We kind of, like with the amount of switching that can happen, we do need all the games to take place first. Bristol versus Sale, says Haino, as the last match too. So a few competition derbies in that case. The likes of Glasgow Bulls, Bath, Leicester. You got Leinster, Edinburgh, both URC sides. And Bristol Sale the same. A bucket of KFC is $36. Says Robert. Yeah, that's probably about how much you get for it here in New Zealand. And you get 10 pieces of chicken. Football, I was talking about rugby union, says Big Rig. See a few players practicing their high ball. Might be a bit of a factor in the second half, although I think it is actually just the one fella looking to try and catch that ball. Can't actually remember how long ago it was when halftime actually started. I'm surprised New Zealand has won a football match, says Big Rig. And they go all right. They were undefeated in the last World Cup they were in 2010. They didn't win it because they had draws and it wasn't enough to get them through to the next stage. But they didn't lose a game, which is substantial. What would be the key for Marcus Smith to beat Sasha in the pole wrestling match? I think we need to move on from the pole wrestling match, Kahu. But probably, you know, if it's underwater, no one can see it. Do a Jan Hendrik Vessels tactic. Give him a twist. That'll sort him out. Do the URC have a World Cup? They have a Club World Cup that's taking place in a few years' time. $14.50 in Switzerland. The price of a Big Mac is Katzenel. Now, Yui Antonio, he actually is going to be off the field for another 7 or 8 minutes at the start of the second half. And don't drown is a very good tip for a water wrestling match. And team's back on the field, says, I am nutty. I've made their way back out of the tunnel. And for the next 9 minutes or so, Harlequins have to strike quickly. I've just said there that Harlequins statistically dominating the first half. Who had the better scrum? It's a bit hard to say. I think Harlequins won more scrum penalties, but La Rochelle would force Harlequins backwards and try and milk the penalty, which then resulted in a scrum reset. I see Reda Wardi. He is on the field at the moment. In another news, Marcus Smith has invested in a harpoon gun, says Big Rig. And 395 rand, 21-piece bucket delivered to my door, says Please and Tease. And seems South Africa is cheaper for fast food, says Ruth. Now La Rochelle kick off the second half, 40 minutes remaining. And at the way that it sits currently, La Rochelle would make it through to the round of 16. But if they were to lose this game by 8 points, they would not. And Leicester will be nervous seeing this game. Absolutely. They will be watching this one with bated breath, hoping that they don't end up getting knocked out. I see that Lavani Botia has actually made his way off the field as well for La Rochelle. That is for Gregory Alrit, bringing on an experienced head to add a bit more control to this game. And Nutty definitely sees Ruth now pass across La Rochelle. It was Concore who did manage to avoid a yellow card for a deliberate knockdown earlier on in the contest, although the next yellow card, or the first yellow card for La Rochelle, came only about a minute later. Back across to the right, Ihaya West trying to get this back line functioning. Dylan Lades gets it to Ninashvili, who offloads backwards. Ihaya West picks it up under a lot of pressure from the Harlequins players, and in the breakdown, they win the penalty. It looked a little bit scrambled from La Rochelle. And that is 8 penalties they have just mentioned that La Rochelle have conceded throughout the first 41 minutes of this contest. It's a big one for the Quins as they now have the opportunity to kick this one at the post or the corner. And I think with the man advantage, you got to look towards the corner here. I tried out for a place in our school water pool team. I nearly drowned. It is very taxing. So here's Katzenell. School water... What is water pool team? Oh, is that... Sorry, water polo, I believe that would be, wouldn't it? And Kittingham, I guess. CSCC, so that one was won by Alex Dombrand. But is that Kittingham for the next try as your prediction, CC? Did very well in the last game for the Quins, but that ball stolen by La Rochelle at line-out time. Jack Walker's throw intercepted, sorry. And water polo, says Katzenell. I only know about water polo because of Star Trek. Another thing that I haven't seen. And pool is full of water. It is, unless it's empty. Second half of Northampton versus Scarlets has just kicked off too, ladies and gents. Currently, Scarlets, they are down by 5 and also down a man. Similar to what we see for La Rochelle, who still have to wait another 5.5 minutes before Yui Antonio can make his way back on. But it was a brilliant steal at line-out time from Brilliant. The captain in Enterprise loves water polo for no reason. It's weird, says Big Rig Joe. And I say, come on, you Quins. Says Sebastian, yeah, they're playing all right at the moment, although they've just knocked that ball on, as I mentioned that. Going to be scrum feed for La Rochelle. Come on, La Rochelle. Did some digging. Winners of each pool seeded 1 to 4. Second place teams 5 to 8. Third place teams 9 to 12. And fourth place teams 13 to 16. So who do they then play, though? Johan, is it sides on the opposite side of the draw, or is it like randomly drawn, or what's the part of it after that? Stormers will be nervous for this game as well, says Kahu. Yeah, a little bit. They have a potential opportunity of dropping lower. We have strong Western Province water polo team here in Cape Town, says Ruth. I don't think I've ever watched a game of water polo for more than about 5 seconds. It looks like hard work, though. And I would definitely need a life jacket if I was playing water polo. Now another scrum reset. Could be on the cards here. Oh no, ball does go in. Now it's available and they've got themselves the advantage there. La Rochelle, old rep passes it across. Big driving tackle from Chandler Cunningham himself. Now Sultini. And that one's going to be dropped by Aldrit, so they'll go back for the initial penalty. It would be exhausting, says Kahu. You see, I haven't swum in a long time. Not efficiently, anyway. I think I'd struggle to do a length of the pool nowadays. At sink or swim sink, Hamish. Tough sport, says Ruth. Although we did work out while on holiday that I'm not very buoyant. I do actually sink, unfortunately. Like, I float for a little bit, but then I go down. It's going to be a great kick from La Rochelle. Now inside of the Harlequins 22. If they can score while being down a man, that would be quite the statement made. See, they're stepping there from Saltini. The replay, 35 minutes still remaining on the clock. I think too, people are like humans naturally float. I'm like, the heck they do. Someone who understands. Yeah, I don't get it. They say, like, literally, if you lie on your back, you will float. But then I do that, and I start going. So, like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, it just doesn't work. See, 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, and so it goes on. Says Johan. Yeah, so that would take a lot of calculations currently, wouldn't it, with the fact that some sides can move around a little bit. So am I correct in saying that it would be Leicester Tigers versus Bordeaux at the moment, the way that it sits, if La Rochelle were to lose, Johan, by 8 or more? And then the Bulls maybe up against Glasgow? Maybe? It might even work out that if La Rochelle win this game, that Bulls would have to play up against Bordeaux in the round of 16. Now rolling ball here for La Rochelle. And another advantage that is for coming in through the side for Delgado. Saltini tries the little chip, taken by Marcus Smith. Go back for another penalty. I've heard the same of women's volleyball. Apparently the players Can be super catty with each other, says Big Rig. Right, if you're E-Higher West here, you've got 90 seconds until Antonio can make his way back on, and it looks like once again they are kicking this one towards the corner, so they are going aggressive. La Rochelle, a 3-pointer here would get them back to 10-10. It's not the easiest kick if they were to go for it. Who would be better at swimming for longer, Sasha or Marcus Smith? I've never seen either man swim, so it would be very hard to tell. For all we know, one of them maybe can't swim. So, yeah, I don't know. We'd have to, I'd have to see them at least do, a little bit of freestyle in a pool. Give us half a chance. We have got there, the Bulls are still in it. That's news to me. Says Kitsanel. Yeah, unless Saracens lose by about 60 points. That would be the only way that they can end up getting knocked out. Or actually, no, sorry, that's the wrong pool. The Scarlets, if they beat Northampton and get a bonus point from that game, the Bulls would then be out. Now, left-hand side, chance here for La Rochelle. Find themselves 5 metres out, but it's a knock-on from Ninashvili. They're just running those physical, flat running lines. At the moment, La Rochelle trying to bulldoze their way over the try line now, running this one out the Harlequins. That was actually a really cool angle they showed there. And a penalty goes the way of the Quins for no clear release. Most South Africans can swim. Says please and tease. Oh, I heard someone drop an F-bomb there. They've just said their apologies for the language too on the commentary. Who has the best chest? And trunks. Says Ruth. Yeah, I'm not sure who would swim better out of Marcus, but you'd assume a man with longer limbs would be better at swimming. But it's not always the case. Jack Noel looks like he's close to making his way back on, as he was also taken off the park due to that La Rochelle yellow card by Yui Antonio, as well as Noel now back out on the park. Oh dear, La Rochelle sloppy Amish. Both of these sides have been throughout this contest, and it could come down to later on in this match who makes less errors go on to win this game. And stop smiling, says Ruth. Now, 31 minutes left. So a close game between Scarlets and Northampton as well. Harlequins in possession, 40 metres out. Friday, going for the kick in behind once again, just trying to force them back a little bit. Michael Phelps has entered the chat. See the Big Rig? He had long arms, didn't he? Now, line out for La Rochelle. I definitely want to make sure that they do retain this one. Lavani Botia, his day is done. He got taken off relatively early for Gregory Aldred, which probably surprised him a little bit. Amish, Sports Springboks, and the Stormers, says Mohadin. Oh, Piari getting involved in this line out. Oh, he just said, excuse me. Okay, if you talk to me like that, you'll leave the field. He said that to Charles Kante Samba. So Piari's getting pissed off with these two teams. Come on, you Quins, says Nigel, and that is going to be in the hands of La Rochelle now. Sitting 17 metres out from the line, more than likely a clearing kick about to come. I googled it, and yes, Phelps had freakishly long arms and legs, says Big Rig. Did you Google Michael Phelps specifically, like that's what you put in, or did you type in Michael Phelps arms? And it's funny, hey, I think who's got the hairier chest will win, more buoyant, says Ruth. A line out for Jack Walker. Will Skelton watching on in the stands. This is quite a crucial 30 minutes for La Rochelle, no matter what the Harlequins are through, but for La Rochelle, if they were to lose by 8, like I said, without any sort of bonus point, they would be knocked out of this Champions Cup competition. More than likely, that would put them in the Challenge Cup with the way that this rankings system works, but it would also book the Leicester Tigers a spot through to the next stage. Now, Nick David cutting in off the wing. If you make yourself heavy, do you sink quicker? Says DJ. A pass on the outside. Oh, drop ball from Chandler Cutting himself. Let's go into touch. The option of a scrum or a line out here for La Rochelle. lot of errors at the moment throughout this game. Do you think Sasha would just wrap his arms around his neck, choking him? This seems like this is going in a weird direction, Kahu. If you're in a wrestling match, you can go for chokes, can't you? Depending on the type of wrestling. Looks like Yui Antonio just came out onto the field and now has a sore knee. Density sinks you, not weight. Says Jimbo. I must be very dense then. Like, it's extremely dense. Because I just go down. But I would say Antonio, even though he's just come back from his yellow card, he may actually go off very shortly. Can't choke in wrestling outside of WWE. Says Big Rig. And afterwards, could you just check if I'd done everything of all the games that is coming up? Says, hey, no, I can do. They just said there that Yui Antonio has played the genie in Aladdin. That's a bit of a fun fact. Right, Piatti having a conversation there again. The front rows. There's a lot of French being spoken. I don't know French, sadly, so I'm not sure what that front row is saying. Hamish, what about high board diving? Is in for me or for the other two? And speaking of wrestling, Bret Hart also has played the genie in Aladdin. Says Big Rick. Well, there you go. Has everyone played the genie in Aladdin? And oh dear, come on, Rochelle. Quins will score again. Nothing's happening. Oh, okay. Something's happened in the other game, though. Northampton have just scored up against the Scarlets. Gives them the 10-point lead. Another scrum feed. Oh, another reset. Antonio is the same size as our local bus, says Jimbo. And for watching, I wouldn't mind a bit of... I didn't mind the synchronized diving. That seemed like it took a lot of skill, because to be able to dive by yourself is hard enough, but then to know that the bloke beside you is also doing the same thing must not be too simple. Okay, stop with the feet, says Piatti at scrum time. So 28 minutes left. This game, I don't want to be the one to say it, but has it lived up to the expectations? We're still waiting to find out. Scarlet update, currently they are losing 26-14. That's a cracking try by the Saints, says Jimbo. I think it was Ollie Slateholm, wasn't it, who managed to score that one in the end. The penalty goes the way of the Harlequins at scrum time. I don't know if La Rochelle want more scrums because they've lost the last two. But now the Quins have a chance to add an additional 3, or they can again kick for the corner and take a little bit of a risk. Antonio, he is not happy about it. He might get subbed back off. He can't quite believe what is happening. Antonio has a medical conundrum. Actually, world class, my opinion, says DJ. He's a very solid player. And he also has some pretty decent work and open play as well. I know a lot of people just think, oh, he's a big man, he must be there for the scrums. But he can move for a big man. Folding Antonio like a Dici, says Jimbo. Now another line out here for the Harlequins. Didn't quite get it into the corner. It will be about 12 metres out. And La Rochelle have 4 international props. Says I am nutty. Now Friday, short ball here. If this is the same trend as we've seen in the last few times, there will be a drop ball very soon, or maybe not. Tyrone Green slides over and the Harlequins score the try. It was the offload from Chandler Cunningham South. And the Quins now lead by 8, which is the margin that they would need to keep if they want to knock La Rochelle out of this Champions Cup competition. They went to the right-hand side. It was a flat run there from Bradley. The chat is more exciting, says Robert. And then Tyrone Green gets over. I think Ninashvili was trying to say it was double movement. Nah, he does slide over. You're allowed 1 move. I'm not sure what the crowd are booing about there. I'm actually really unsure what the crowd are booing about. Whatever they think they've seen did not happen. He's going to use up all the seconds that he can here, Marcus Smith. I think that might have just been a little bit of hopefulness from the crowd that they were going to somehow find a way of disallowing it. And French crowd always boos. Says, I am nutty, but that has gone over as well. So that now makes the score 17 points to 7 in favour of the Harlequins. Maybe I jinxed it by saying that this game hadn't lived up to expectations. There might be quite a thrilling finish for the last 25. They were $7.75 underdogs at the start of this game, the Harlequins. Which just seemed crazy because they had a decent lineup for this contest. Of course, a lot can happen in the final 25 minutes. But they're certainly looking more like favourites the way that they're playing currently. What I'm going to do while I am at it, I'm going to check to see what those odds are sitting at now. La Rochelle versus Harlequins. Harlequins are $1.67 favourites for this match now. With 25 minutes remaining on the clock, they are up by the 10. Now ready for the line out. They are just inside of the Harlequins half here for La Rochelle. La Rochelle didn't get off the mark. I got 21 or 22-1 pre-match on the Quins. They were paying 22-1. What bookmaker is that? Uh-oh. Head contact here between Favre and Marcus Smith. Ronagara will probably get the flick if they get kicked out. Says, I am nutty. Right, Favre does not look too flash here. Oh, he's up right there, Marcus Smith. That's a big turning point, perhaps, in this contest. They're checking to see clear head contact, and it looks like it's actually more so the chin of Marcus Smith has hit the head of Favre. And Betfair says, Nigel. You see, like they were paying about 8-1 here in New Zealand, which seemed quite high. Right, it's foul play. Is Marcus Smith going to be taken off the field for the next 10 minutes? Could be a crucial little moment. Kyle Julius is here as well. Hope you're doing well. And passive, so a yellow says, I am nutty. Yeah, it does sound like it's not going to be anything more severe than the yellow. Bunch of French idiots, says Haino. At least you didn't say what you're really thinking, Haino. What was the comment there from the referee? Okay, because the level of danger is high. I swear he just said because we want to change the game or something. From Piardi. Marcus Smith, he has got some Vaseline on the chin at the moment due to taking that shot underneath the chin. This is a strange game, says Ruth. It has been a bit of a weird one. And Smith's chin is busted. And yellow for you, says Haino. He was upright. And at the end of the day, you can't be upright in 2025 or 2026 in a tackle without getting a penalty against you and potentially the yellow card. I think I probably, for me, that's the lower end of yellow, but still probably a yellow. Great interception there from Dombrand, but then the drop ball from Walker. Going to go back for another scrum. That won't help his upcoming bout against Sasha. Says Big Rig. Do you watch India and New Zealand? It is finished off now. Please, no spoilers. Kyle, if you can avoid it, I am going to be watching that game later on tonight after work. So if you can avoid the spoiler, it would be greatly appreciated. We're so close to the end of this one too, to not find out who ended up winning or losing in it. Yellow for who? So it is Marcus Smith who got the yellow card. And Favre has gone off for a head injury assessment. Last one here is La Rochelle's specialty, says I am nutty. There's a bit of massaging going on for Jack Walker. And also we do see the change. Hastoi making his way on. Sasha will probably drown Smith, says Kahu. Okay, I see there that they are trying to argue the fact that it was a yellow card. What happened to Cardiff Rugby? Yeah, they struggled in their game up against Exeter, although they were always supposed to. Okay, says Kyle. In there as well. Now 23 minutes left. Should have been red then, says Haino. And yes, the subs list is wrong. It says I am nutty. It is wrong. Yeah, it was done just before, or about an hour or two before the kickoff, before they had the late changes. It's also wrong in terms of the starting lineup because Danevufu is not playing. Instead it is Favre who was starting at number 12. The number 16 is also wrong if you want to go that far because that was also a change that they had to make late. But now, La Rochelle still plenty of capabilities off of their bench. 9 minutes remaining of that Quins yellow card. La Rochelle, come on, boys. Get yourself sorted out there. Says Ruth. Pre-engage. Another scrum reset. Did you catch England versus India 5 tests last summer, H? I have not tried and catch it. Been my favourite test of late, says DJ. I think I would have watched that one at the time. Oh, another try there for Northampton. It's going to be Wright who scores it. They get themselves their 5th. So, Jimbo, you're close with the 6th by the looks of it. Yeah, the hardest thing about finding, like, replays of test match cricket is, like, a lot of places don't show the full match. They just show the highlights. Oh, and that is going to be free kick now to La Rochelle. Going away to the left-hand side. 3-man tackle by the Harlequins. Surely that leaves some sort of gap in their backline if they can shift it on. La Rochelle. Marcus would do inflatable gum guards and pound Sasha first. And Saints are on fire, says Big Rig. Yeah, it does seem now like Scarlets will not have a chance of knocking out any side in the Champions Cup. Now popping it up again. Big collision with Chandler cutting himself, looking for the offload. It almost went forward. The Hustui trying to sneak his way through. Now off to the left again. Dylan Lades shovels it on one more. Gregory Aldred. Come on, you La Rochelle need 2 tries, says Haino. Yeah, bare minimum they need 1. Because that would put them back within the 7 points, and that would mean that they go through to the next stage. They're asking for the ball. Oh, great hands from Yui Antonio. He's actually caught that ball behind him. We've got their Steven in there as well. See that the last word is fair play, and also the Harlequins, and a penalty is in there too. And I think that is ridiculous about midway through. And also the commentators. The French commentators. Tell you what, I got like 3 or 4 words of that, which is good. I'm slowly learning my French. Come on, the Quins, says Ollie. So as the ball's out, says Mohadin. No, they are still in for now. And they should still be in if Scarlets do lose that game. Does all La Rochelle need as a losing bonus point? Correct, yes. With where they sit at the moment, they are sitting in 5th on the overall standings. That was a bit of a nasty knee chop from one of the Harlequins players, but here it is. La Rochelle is sitting on 6 points. Leicester Tigers are sitting on 6 as well. Uh-oh. This is going to be an upstairs check here. I don't even think the crowd know what they're trying to boo for. They've chosen the wrong decision that they're going for. It is going to be the scrum. Okay, legal wrap, so a scrum feed for the Harlequins. The crowd will not like that one. Are you watching the French commentary? There is English as well. Says, I am nutty. Oh, is that the translation? So yeah, we have got the English commentary here in New Zealand on EPCR TV. Would he just beer hug Marcus to drown him? Oh, you need to get away from the pool, Kahu. You've been on it for about an hour. But now 17-7. We tick into the final quarter of this contest. They're saying at the moment for the Harlequins, they would be second in this Champions Cup pool if this match was to remain in this way. So a lot can change. This is where La Rochelle are normally their most dangerous. The last 20 minutes, they can up the tempo. Currently, they're up against a 14-man Harlequin too. A French commentary always throws me because England is displayed as ANG. Says Big Rig. Oh, I didn't actually know that. Ball's put in by Friday. That's a big scrum and a big penalty again for the Harlequins. So when it comes to scrums, it was asked earlier on who is dominating the scrums, and it seemed a bit 50-50, but in this case, the Harlequins are really mounting up some momentum throughout the second half. Can Scarlet still come back? Nah. They're down by 3 tries at the moment with only 17 minutes remaining, so I just don't see it happening. Come on, you Quins, says Ollie Watson. Yes, they call us Angel Terry for some reason, says Big Rig. Lord of the Angels. Or Lord of Angles. Oh, sorry, Land of Angles. Says I'm nutty. Kenningham about to be taken off the field. That is for Lorde. Kirod goes off for Hobson. That'll be a bit of a shame because honestly, if you're going to give a man of the match to anyone in this contest, it would almost have to be Simon Kirod for the way that he's been able to scrummage throughout this one. And Scarlets are tired and home. Have been horrendous today, says Stephen. Now line out round the halfway line for Jack Walker. Puts it in, just slapping that ball for Harlequins, but it bounces into the hands of La Rochelle. So again, the line out's still a little bit scrappy for the away side. Aldred goes back across to Saltini. Ehire West passes on to Hustoy. Now finds Dylan Lates. I don't know why he said his name so weird. Now to the right-hand side. Shuffling it on was Kante Samba. They are not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination for La Rochelle. Definitely not during this yellow card period. I'm just thinking, I think La Rochelle, even if they lost this game, as long as they get that bonus point, they'll be happy. But of course, a win in front of a home crowd is much better than the loss. Hustoy running it down the wing, gets it delayed on the inside. Another offload, finds the hands of Jack Noel, and he'll finish it off for La Rochelle. His second try of the contest. 4 minutes still left on the yellow card. Are you ready for work? Not really. I still have to do a few things before heading away. This game will be ending at about 6:10, so I'll probably have about 30 minutes or so before I have to head off. The line out was astray from the Harlequins. Again, just that mistake coming in the set piece. Their scrums have been dominant, but their line outs have been shaky. And La Rochelle, this is one of their better backline movements that we've actually seen throughout this contest, as well as those offloads that just keep the ball alive. And Hustoy, a great run as an impact player, and then lades off his back, gets the offload up. And Jack Knowles scores the try. Now Ehire West. It's a pretty important kick. He is currently sitting 1 from 1. And he's missed away to the side. Going to make the score now 17 points to 12. Now we have got the amateur Ironman, no time for sleeping. How long has Dante been out for? I'm not actually too sure how long he's been out. It's very hard to follow the French top 14 here in New Zealand, unfortunately, unless you buy the subscription pass, which I sadly do not have. Didn't rule retired due to head knocks as well. Says I am nutty. That one I think is correct, yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of guys who probably should have retired and haven't from head knocks. La Rochelle bench cranking it up, says Jimbo. And yeah, they will try and sap that gas tank of Harlequins. How do you cope with little sleep? I strategically sleep at different times. So the likes of today or yesterday for us here in New Zealand, I slept between about 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. So, yeah, I kind of had my sleeping there. And then I'll probably go to bed relatively early tonight. What time is at work? So I'll be leaving here at about probably, I'd say 20 to 7, somewhere around there. Now Harlequins, back across to the left-hand side here. Moving up to the halfway line for Northmore. From what time, till what time you work? I'll probably be working till 5. Now Lorde, 100th test match, or sorry, not 100th test match, but 100th test match. 100th match for the Harlequins is what I was trying to say before my tongue decided it wanted to attack me. Now ball's put high by Friday. 25 metres out from the line. It looked like it was a knock on. Yes, it was. Now another scrum for La Rochelle, although that's not really what they will want because that's been one of their weaker parts of their game throughout this matchup. which is weird to say, definitely because of that size that they have got, who's going to win the Six Nations. I think England have a decent chance. But whether or not that does happen, we will soon know. We are going to be covering all of the games of the Six Nations on the channel. So, of course, be sure to check those out. Piati's having a hard day in terms of the amount of players just back-chatting with him. Even guys who aren't even involved in what is happening are just going up to him and trying to get him to change his decisions. Currently 50 seconds remaining of that Marcus Smith yellow card as well. Which does mean, I would say that La Rochelle, I'm just thinking about that penalty count. They had given away 8 penalties after 42 minutes. But since then, they've hardly given away any. Are you predicting a Grand Slam or just a point win for the Six Nations? I think a point win. To be honest, I think that they'll end up, who have they got away? I think they play France in France, right? I think that they might lose, I think France are losing to either England or Ireland, but I haven't decided on who yet. Scarlett scored. Says Mohadin, yeah, they do still sit down by the 12 points at the moment in that contest. But if they score themselves 2 more tries, they would actually get enough points to knock out the Bulls. 17 points from 8 penalties is bad for the Quins, though. There's Big Rig. Yeah, they haven't actually taken on any 3-pointers throughout this whole match. Scrum's now set. La Rochelle feeds it, and again, it just goes on the angle. This time, La Rochelle, though, get themselves that penalty advantage. Aldrich breaking off the back, get him through. Lorde has the men on the inside. Now La Rochelle towards the corner. Missed tackle from Tyrone Green. Brilliant sidestep, and the try for La Rochelle again. It's Thomas Pajon who has scored it, and they are back to 17-17 now in this match. Now, with that try, and I would say if this conversion goes over, I don't think they can lose their losing bonus point no matter what. And what a try, says Short Videos. Yeah, brilliant run forward. They had the advantage at scrum time. Gregory Aldrich breaking off the back, saw the support run and turned Tyrone Green's ankles inside out with that sniping run. Goes through, convert it please. Says I know, and no great try, says Ollie. And also, England and France do struggle against Scotland and Murrayfield, says Kahu. And Smith losing it all, says Jimbo. Yeah, now they are back to 15, but at what cost? We're seeing 2 tries scored during that Marcus Smith yellow card. I said La Rochelle by 2. Just need to win by 2, says Haino. And Ehire West, he's missed it, which means that these two sides currently, with 13 minutes remaining, sit 17 points to 17. It is anyone's game. But I would say there's a lot of bonus points on the line here. La Rochelle, 3 tries, so if they score once more, no matter what, they are guaranteed to go through. Losing bonus point is 3 or 4 tries in this comp, also within 7. So it's 4 tries in this competition, but you do get one for within 7 as well. So theoretically, La Rochelle could walk away, if they did lose this game, with 2 points. Home kicker is bad here, says Stephen. Yeah, he struggled today. Ehire West. I called Smith to kick the winner, says Jimbo. He is now back out there on the field. It's going to be the line out now. He's got quite a nasty knock on the underneath of his chin there, Marcus Smith, from that original collision with Favre, who has not returned out onto the field. Line out is claimed. 12 minutes remaining. Marcus Smith again sends this ball high and wide. Looking to go up for it was Murley, trying to rip that ball off Dylan Lades, and does so. Ball's bouncing around all over the place. I don't think there were any knock-ons throughout that process, but Jack Knoll gets in the breakdown for La Rochelle and manages to get the ball. Scarlets have scored again in their game up against Northampton, by the way. So they now have the bonus point. If they can somehow come back and win that contest, they will knock the Bulls out of the Champions Cup. And do Scotland come back? Says Mohadin. I mean, we saw them suffer a comeback up against Argentina. And to South Africa, or do Scotland come back to South Africa? They will at some stage, I'm sure. La Rochelle Terminator coming back, says Ruth there. And now 11 and a half minutes remaining on the clock. It looks like La Rochelle are about to make another switch. as the young Russian makes his way on the field, they have just said. And that is going to be Frant, or Frant, I believe his name is. Now 11 and a half remaining. La Rochelle, they sit 25 metres out from the line. In fact, Favre just made his way back on after being off for a while for that HIA. Scarlet scored, they certainly did. They're back in the contest now, up against Northampton. It sits 33-28 between those two sides. And the Bulls, they'll be very nervous watching on for that game. La Rochelle have pushed before. They put in at every scrum. Is that no longer an offence, says Stephen? Well, they're being penalised, I think it's 3 or 4 times at scrum time. And every time I mentioned about it, how they're trying to milk the penalties by keeping that ball in for as long as possible. But it's actually backfired for them throughout this contest. And yeah, Harlequins have been the better scrummaging team. Northampton 33-28, 7 minutes remaining. That's a 5-point game, Holy. I thought Northampton would thrash them. Yeah, they're actually doing very well. Definitely because the Scarlets were $15 underdogs for that match. But a big kick downfield. Another change about to be made. Chandler Cunning himself going to be taken off the field for Zach Carr. What happens if it's a draw? The Harlequins will get a couple points. The La Rochelle side will get a couple points. And Leicester will miss out. So at the moment for Leicester, the way that it sits, they will not be through to the round of 16. But if the Harlequins were able to score 2 quick-fire points or 2 quick-fire tries or anything like that, that would then knock La Rochelle out again. But La Rochelle with the put-in. On the halfway line now, Gregory Eldred, he helped set up that last try that was scored. There's Favre. So he actually was off the field for about as long as Marcus Smith was. Little flick pass there from the Russian. Goes off Eldred. Now, going left-hand side with Hastoy. Falling down, so no call of a high shot from the referee. Gigot. Oh, that was almost going to be playing the 9. Penalty, low chopping tackle from Alex Dombrand. He's told to roll out of there and does just that. Now a box kick again from La Rochelle. In fact, only going for the little chip in behind this time. Awkward ball. It's going to be knocked on by La Rochelle. I'll go back for a Harlequin scrum. And G17 all says Bruce. Yeah, it is a very close game at the moment. Looks like Northampton have got themselves a penalty in that game up against the Scarlets. And they will look to add the additional 3, which should just about shut that game down if the kick does go over. And come on, the Harlequins come on. If they do win by 2, do they still knock the Bulls out? La Rochelle, if the Scarlets win by 2, yes, they would. But the Saints are about to make their lead 8 points. And that will then mean that you would think Scarlets shouldn't be able to come back with the time remaining. Now another change. Charles Kante Samba makes his way off. And come on, Harlequins, come on. So here's Cameron and Quinn surprised me. It's been a close fixture between these two sides. It hasn't been the prettiest game of rugby we've ever seen. There's been a lot of scrums. There's been a lot of stoppages. But there's also been some very good moments for both of these sides when it comes to their attack. And someone throughout this last 9 minutes, I don't see this game being a draw. I think that it's going to end up in the scenario how someone has a big moment, whether that's winning a penalty or whether it's getting a line break and creating a chance to score. But either way, I just don't see it as a draw between these two teams. Someone's going to have that big moment to change the game. The Harlequins are $3.30 underdogs. I mentioned it at the start, how they were $7.75 at kickoff. It's changed a lot since then. Come on, La Rochelle. So here's at the net. And there's, I must be playing as a lock, says I am nutty. Another scrum reset for the 15th time today. What happened to the Stormers if Harlequins win here? So here's Cameron Kay. So the Stormers, they will still be through to the round of 16, of course, but it would mean that they drop down into 3rd rather than being in 2nd. Now, in terms of who they play, that is still to be determined. But if they finish in 3rd, they will be playing one of the 4 teams who finished in 2nd. If they finish in 2nd, they'll be playing one of the 4 teams that finished in 3rd. So you're actually better off being in that 2nd position because then you've got the home final for the round of 16 as well. So there's actually quite a bit on the line. The Harlequins win this game, they book home final for the round of 16. and the Stormers will have to travel for their game rather than being in Cape Town. So a substantial moment could be coming up here. Harlequins, that scrum looked shaky, but they have managed to get the ball out the back to Marcus Smith. South Africa will be going into New Zealand for 3T, says Kyle. So does that mean no home quarterfinal, says Cameron? Potentially. But yeah, no home round of 16 could be on the cards if Harlequins win this. These French farmers need to learn how to win, says Haino. And also, come on, La Rochelle, says Etanet there. And always a banger when English take on the French. It's kicked into touch again. Aldrit. He's made a big impact since making his way off of the bench. Same with Hastoy. Currently, 8 points separating Northampton and the Scarlets. That is 3.5 minutes remaining in their matchup. That game's run a little bit smoother than this one. I mentioned how we have had a lot of stoppages. That would be Fisherman as on the coast. And also we have the okay, come on then, Harlequins, says Cameron. Now short pop pass, offload there from Dombrand, gives it on to would-be, is that Brim Bradley, I think, playing in number 12, and then is a cynical play from La Rochelle. This might be a yellow card right at the end of the contest, but they are still playing under penalty advantage for the Harlequins. 5 metres out from La Rochelle's line. Big wide skip pass into the hands of Lorde. He cuts in and scores the try. And now the Harlequins take the lead with just the 7 minutes remaining, and it is the Centurion. Lorde, how does the score affect Leinster? Says Duzra. In the short answer is it really doesn't in terms of that group. Like, Leinster are clear of everyone. It just means that there'll be someone else in second if Harlequins can win this game, and they have got their third try of the contest. That would award them 4 points for the win. Was that pass from Dombrand Ford, or was it just flat? Either way, it was a good attack and run from Brim Bradley, and then passing it out to Lorde, scoring in the corner. No, I should have backed the Quins, says Haino. And 4 pass says, I'm nutty. It looked flat, that is for sure. But doesn't seem like it has been checked. And try, says Jimbo. Will this kick go over from Marcus Smith? Strikes it from the sideline. That is a fantastic kick from Smith. And that is going to now make the score with 6 minutes remaining. 24 points to 17. And again, we get back to this scenario, ladies and gentlemen. If La Rochelle can see 3 points here near the end of this contest or another try, they are out of the Champions Cup. Now, even if they make it through to the next stage of the Champions Cup, they will be playing either Bordeaux or Glasgow or Leinster. Oh, imagine Leinster versus La Rochelle again. That would be a treat. And now Jack Knoll making the tackle there. The Harlequins are inside of their own 22. Smith kicks the winner. Ron O'Gara in trouble, says Ascott there. And Smith redemption for his dumb yellow card, says Big Rig. Yeah, it almost cost his side the game. There's still a chance of a draw here, though. What if Scarlets lose by 1? They will still not knock anyone out of the Champions Cup. Any news on who is tipped for the AB's job? Jamie Joseph seems to be the front runner at the moment. But other than that, not 100% too sure. I'm not actually too sure when they're going to fill in that jersey or that role either. I'd assume it would be closer to the end of Super Rugby. One's going to be taken at the front of the line out. Here come La Rochelle again on the attack. If they score now, we're back into a little bit of a back and forth chess match between these two teams. And one thing that they will be hoping for is a kick straight out in front of the post, as Ehire West has not had his best kicking day for La Rochelle. Now going for the cross kick from Hastoy, waiting for the bounce to the ball. It sits up. Oh, great tackle from Marcus Smith. As long as he used his arms in it, was a brilliant driving tackle to put La Rochelle into touch. Ron O'Gara never proved himself. Gibbs gave him a team of champs in champ form. And 1 minute in Scarlet's match say have it, and I hope the Quins score again, says Sean. And imagine if the Quins get a penalty, the drama for who actually goes through. Do they go for the 3 kick or kick it straight out to stop Leicester, says Kahu. I would hate to be coached by Ronan O'Gara. Oh, okay, they've been told to stop time wasting here. Harlequins, 4 minutes remaining on the clock now. I reckon they'll have their candidate already. They wouldn't have fired Scott if they didn't, says Cameron. And hoping that the Quins score again there from Sean. So hoping La Rochelle get knocked out of the competition. It's a competitive line out. And again, now running it forward is Alex Dombrandt. He's had to put in an 80-minute performance here. Ball is available for the youngster Friday. He's had a solid game. Lucas Friday in that 9 jersey. Kicking it into touch, taken by Dylan Lades. Taking it quickly too. Finding Ninashvili. That's a big collision. Now, what about Joker and Batman? And so draw is best for La Rochelle. Well, in a way, yeah, they need to try and get that little bit higher up, but then a draw doesn't actually change anything for them. They still will be the 4th team in the group. So the only thing a draw does is maybe like help their home record a little bit. Did you see Rassi troll the ABs with the Wolf of Wall Street meme, Hamish? I did. And it is classic Rassi. I do have to say, Saints 6th try, says Jimbo. I bet on the Harlequins, hope they win, and at the moment they've got a very good chance of doing so, well controlled. Keep that ball in the field of play for Favre, but Marcus Smith kicks it downfield. Territory game working nicely for the Quins. And Quins keep it together, says Ruth. Yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes when the Harlequins were considered $7.75 underdogs at the start of this game. Currently, of course, La Rochelle are probably about that same. Yeah, they're $19 underdogs now, La Rochelle. As for them to be able to win this contest, they would need to try and then something. And go La Rochelle, says Stasi. Northampton score. They have won that game, Northampton. So they booked their spot through. It means that the Scarlets will be missing out. It was based off Quins Premiership form. That is the penalty won by the Harlequins. Right, they have a chance to now kick this one towards the post. And like they've said, they have the chance to eliminate La Rochelle from this competition if this kick goes over. When is Glasgow versus Saracens today? That game is kicking off in 23 minutes' time. And Scarlets did well, though. Says Big Rig. Yeah, it was a valiant effort from the Scarlets. But yeah, I don't know why they based it off Prem form rather than basing it off Champions Cup form, where Harlequins have actually been very solid. I don't go down without a fight, says Big Rig. This one for Marcus Smith. It will be from about 30 metres out in front. La Rochelle, I think the reality has just hit this group of players that they may be knocked out of a competition that they have done so well in the past few years. Now they may be gone. The crowd look relentless or a little bit restless as well. They will not want to be witnessing this loss, but the Quins with 1 minute left on the clock. I said this before the drama. I think this is the best thing that could have happened to the ABs. Maybe now the coach can get rid of all the prima donnas and pick players who will die for the black jersey, says Cameron. Marcus Smith, using up as many seconds off the shot clock as he can, strikes it and does get the kick over. So now, with the way that it sits, 10 points separating these two sides. La Rochelle need 3 points in 30 seconds, or they are done and they are out of this Champions Cup competition. The ball is in the hands of the Harlequins again. They needed to win the restart and they were not able to. And I see now another run, although La Rochelle on the ball. Do they win it? Referee says no, let go of it. Right, La Rochelle have to commit absolutely everyone into this breakdown. 10 seconds remaining. Friday's told to use it. 5 seconds left on the clock. This will be the last space. La Rochelle, Gregory Eldred looking for the ball. He cannot get it. And now Friday goes back into the pocket. Harlequins win on the road and they knock La Rochelle out of the Champions Cup. Now, more than likely, they will end up facing off up against someone who is, I want to say, 3rd ranked now. So whether that's the Stormers, whether that's, I'm trying to think of the other groups at the moment, it could end up being Saracens if they manage to get themselves the win. It could be Northampton, or in fact, it could be Bristol that they find themselves up against there. Or maybe it could be Castra. They are just talking about it, how La Rochelle eliminated from this competition. No one saw that coming. The Harlequins as $7 underdogs get the job done. Now, La Rochelle are a horrendous team, says Stephen, and thanks actually says DJ. And again, the Stormer says Mohadeen. And coming new Quins, says Richard and Peter in there as well. And well done, Quins. Should have listened to my gut. These French fishermen are bad. And go on, Quins, says Jimbo there too. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Does anyone find it odd the way that New Zealand media absolutely worship Artie, refuse to let him be criticised? Says Power Bite. I don't think that they do, though. Like, if you're in New Zealand at the moment, all you see is all the headlines of Artie Savia being the reason Scott Robertson got fired. Like, it's actually really bad at the moment that every single one says about how Savia was the main culprit. So I don't think they worship him at all. In fact, the media have decided to take the story and just keep on spinning it to try and turn the country against him. I did say that could happen at the end. Cheers, Hamish. Have a great week, everyone. Says Jimbo. But yeah, nonetheless, we will be back next week. To be fair, though, I've seen Artie walk on water and hit the like button. Says, I am nutty. And there too. But yeah, next weekend, we've got just actually the one live stream on the channel. It's a bit more of a quiet weekend. Although I am hoping to do some sort of video based around the Edinburgh Bulls game. I always love David Kirk. He is an awesome steward of the game. He will make the right decision for the AB's rugby. Says Cameron there. Yeah, massive win for the Quins. Marcus Smith receives man of the match. Enjoy your day, says Please and Tease. And there as well. And just to mention, anyone who is wondering why I'm not doing Saracens versus Glasgow, it is nothing personal against the two teams. It's just about probably 30 minutes into that game I'm going to be pouring concrete. So it does mean that I can sadly not cover it. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it, see what the end result of that contest is. Seen a couple upsets in this round of the competition already. We've seen another big one here. Quins knocking out La Rochelle. But thank you all very much for watching. I will see you all for the next one.